Greetings, fellow Dungeon Delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons, where we work together to come up with D&D 5th edition builds for your favorite League of Legends champions. Today, we'll be building Swain, the Noxian Grand General. His early days of conquest were cut short by Aurelia and a failed invasion of Ionia. In his defeat, though, he found a higher calling in the form of a raven demon who he made a pact with to grant him extraordinary power. With this power, he crushed the Noxian king and formed a ruling triumvirate over the city. As the vision of Noxus, Swain has seen what it'll take to conquer Runeterra, and he'll stop at nothing to accomplish his goals. First, let's cover the goals of this build. Swain is imperialistic. He believes in the ever-growing expansion of Noxus. He made a pact with a raven demon, so we'll need some ravens flying around and some demon powers. Swain also has strong crowd control abilities and AoE damage, as well as a decent amount of lifesteal. For race, we're going to go with Fallen Aasimar. I know he's not technically born of a divine being, but we could say his exposure to the Raven Demon changed him into one. Fallen Aasimars gain +2 to their charisma and a +1 to strength. They also have dark vision and celestial resistance, which means resistance to necrotic and radiant damage. Healing Hands is an ability that lets you touch a creature and give it HP equal to your level once per long rest as an action. Swain has a lot of built-in healing, and this just adds to it. You also gain the Light Cantrip for free with the Lightbearer feature. The most important aspect of this race for Swain is the Necrotic Shroud feature, which unlocks at level 3. As an action, you unleash the dark energy within and sprout 2 skeletal, ghostly, flightless wings. When you do, all creatures within 10 feet must succeed on a charisma save or be frightened until the end of your next turn. They last for 1 minute, and once on each of your turns, you can deal extra necrotic damage equal to your level whenever you deal damage with a spell or attack. This recharges on a long rest. This is going to be the epitome of Swain's ultimate ability. Later on, we're going to grab some abilities to cover the AoE damage aspect as well. For stats, we're going to be using the standard array. Roll if you want to, but keep your charisma in mind because we're going to need it for multi-classing later on. Speaking of that, charisma is going to be our highest stat at a 15. Swain rules through intimidation and persuasion. Gotta have strong face game for that. Next, we'll take intelligence. I'm not going to lie, it doesn't help much in the build at all, but Swain is a genius, tactically and otherwise. It'd be doing the character a grave disservice if we made it any lower. Constitution is going to be our next score at a 13. Rod of Ages and tanky AP items are his go-to, so he needs a beefy health pool. Strength will be next at a 12. He was a conquering warlord who fought on the actual battle lines with his troops. It may have cost him his arm, but he was damn strong before that. Dexterity is up next at a 10. He was never particularly quick and opted for a more brutal approach, so this pans out. Finally, we'll dump Wisdom. It isn't wise to make a deal with the Raven Demon. They're scary, yo. Alright, let's kick this build off with a level in Paladin. For some odd reason, you don't get to pick your oath until level 3, which I think is a crock, so let's not beat around the bush. We're going for the Oath of Conquest. Swain's a warmonger and a heavy imperialist. He fits right in with that oath, and we'll be working our way towards that oath as we play him. Paladins have a D10 hit die, which we're going to miss once we multi-class out of it. Level 1 Paladins also gain 2 proficiencies. We're going to choose Intimidation and Insight. Birdman going to scare you and see right through you at the same time. First level Paladins also gain Divine Sense, which allows them to know the location of any Celestial, Fiend, or Undead within 60 feet as long as they're not in full cover. Lay on Hands is another level 1 feature for Paladin that gives you a pool of hit points equal to 5 times your Paladin level to give to yourself or others. Now Swain is generally self-healing, but if you're feeling generous, you can give some love to your party members. Finally, and oh boy did this level 1 drag on, Paladins get to choose a fighting style. We'll go with Defense since it gives you a +1 to AC while wearing armor. We're not going to be using weapons too much after we multi-class, so no real point in grabbing the other ones. Paladins at level 2 unlock spellcasting. Paladins, like clerics, prepare their spells every day from a known list. As usual, we'll only be discussing the relevant spells to this build, and let's be honest, most Paladins only view their spell slots as smite charges anyway. At second level, Paladins gain Divine Smite, which is the Paladin bread and butter. When you land a melee strike, you get to spend a spell slot and swat your target with that sickety-sick radiant damage. That damage starts at 2d8 plus 1d8 for each spell slot above level 1. And if you're smiting an undead or fiend, you get an additional d8 as well. Time to go to the Shadow Isles and clean the house. At level 3, Paladins officially commit to their oath. We'll be choosing the Oath of Conquest as we mentioned earlier. This unlocks oath spells and channel divinity options. Your oath spells are always prepared and don't count against the number of spells you prepare each day. Level 3 Conquest Paladins gain Armor of Agathis and Command as oath spells. Armor of Agathis gives you 5 temporary hit points for an hour. If you're hit with a melee attack, during that time you deal 5 cold damage to the target. This gives you a nice little thornmail feature. The command spell lets you speak a one-word command to a creature, and if it fails a wisdom save, it has to obey unless you speak a language it doesn't understand, or the command is directly harmful to it. When Swain speaks, you obey. Alright, now it's time to go forth into Ionia and get your ass beat. You go in all cocky thinking you're gonna smash this pathetic country of farmers and simple folk, only for Aurelia to go all out just this one time and completely demolish your army. She even cuts off your arm. You flee the battlefield and the army in disgrace, but this isn't the end for you. You find a demon raven. It leads you to understand there's a deeper power hidden in Noxus for you to take and make a bargain with. As you complete this pact, you feel the demon restore your physical strength, including your severed arm. Noxus will be yours. You are now a Warlock. Warlocks start off choosing their otherworldly patron to make a bargain with. Demons are fiends, so obviously we'll take the fiend patron. Beatrice ain't no archfey, and she certainly ain't no celestial. Warlocks have a d8 hit die, which is definitely not bad, but still relatively squish. Choosing Beatrice over other patrons give you certain spells to choose from at this and later levels that are a little more demonic and fire related. Beatrice also gives you Dark One's Blessing. Whenever you reduce a hostile creature to 0 HP, you gain temporary hit points equal to your charisma modifier, plus your warlock level. So if your friends KS you, you just kill them and take the HP instead. Just kidding. PvP at the table is generally bad, kids. Warlock pack magic is more nuanced than any other spellcaster, so we'll take a second to explain how their spell slots work. You have a very limited number of pack magic slots based on your warlock level. To make up for having such egregiously low amounts of slots, there are several benefits. At later levels, you get Eldritch Invocations, which greatly increase your utility and don't cost pack slots. Also, any spell cast with this pack magic is automatically cast at the max level it can be based on your warlock level, so your spells are super strong. They also recharge on a short rest, so you get to fight, take a nap, and then be ready to fight again real quick. Now for cantrips and spells, we're going to follow our general rule of thumb and only include the Swain specific spells so we don't pad the video out too long. That being said, here are the ones for level 1 warlocks. Eldritch Blast. Oh wow, go figure, a warlock taking Eldritch Blast, how unique and original! I know, but hear me out. Swain uses this ability perfectly. Here's the actual description of his Q ability in-game. Swain unleashes 5 bolts of Eldritch power in the target direction. Eldritch is literally in the name, and as you level up, you gain multiple bolts just like Swain fires in-game. Very cool. So that gives us our Q ability. We're going to take 2 level 1 spells here. Only one is specific to the build, so have fun with the other one. Arms of Adar is a first level warlock spell that when I read it, I literally asked myself if Swain's rework designer was just a D&D player who wanted to bring his character into the game. It's absurd. Tendrils of dark energy erupt from you, striking all characters within 10 feet, just like Swain's ultimate. And if they fail a strength save, they take 2d6 necrotic and can't take reactions till their next turn. At max level, this will be 6d6 in an AoE circle around you. It's not necessarily the most powerful spell in your arsenal, but it is a heavy dose of Swain flavor. Level 2 warlocks unlock Eldritch Invocations. These are those special abilities I mentioned earlier that are going to help make up for your low number of pack slots. Eldritch Blast is going to be your main bread and butter from here on out if it wasn't clear already, so we're going to take a few things to amplify that. First is Agonizing Blast. It's fairly straightforward. When you cast Eldritch Blast, add your Charisma modifier to the damage it deals on a hit. This ramps up your damage significantly over time because it's guaranteed flat damage whenever you land a hit. Next, we'll do Grasp of Adar. This is how we gain Swain's E ability, Never Move, and his passive, which yanks targets to us. Grasp lets you take any target hit by Eldritch Blast and yoink them 10 feet in a straight line closer to you. You'll also gain another level 1 spell here, but nothing specific to Swain is available, so we'll move on. At 3rd level, Mama Beatrice is so proud of you for reforming Noxus and doing her justice that she gives you a boon. She gives you an avatar of herself to fly around with you and cause mischief. This is the Pact of the Chain, which allows you to cast Find Familiar and perform it as a ritual if you prefer. You're technically only supposed to pick from 4 listed creatures, but if your DM has a problem with changing an imp to a demon raven, they're kind of a turd. You gain your first second level spell this level, and we'll go with Ray of Enfeeblement, which works just like the summoner spell Exhaust. If you land your spell attack roll, they deal half damage with strength weapon attacks. So when you see Garen getting ready to flash Q someone, just slap him with that Ray of Enfeeblement and watch him whimper. 4th level Warlocks gain their first ability score improvement. We're going to take a feat instead and grab Warcaster. It gives you advantage on Constitution saves, and you can cast with a shield if you want to pick up that sweet +2 AC. My favorite part though is when you gain an opportunity attack on a target, you can cast a spell, Eldritch Blast, rather than a melee strike. Swain didn't give permission to retreat, fool. At level 5, Warlocks unlock an additional Eldritch Invocation. We'll grab Armor of Shadows. This gives you mage armor without blowing pack slots or material components. We also unlock 3rd level Warlock spells. There are a bunch of fun Swain ones, so let's run through them briefly. First, we have Fly. You touch a creature and it gains 60 feet of flying for up to 10 minutes. At max level, you'll be able to also give 2 of your party members flight as well. Hunger of Vidar is another badass spell. You open a gateway to the void with a 20-foot radius sphere. If a creature starts its turn in the area, it takes 2d6 cold damage, and if a target ends its turn in the area, it needs to make a dex save or take 2d6 acid damage. This is a flavoring of Swain's W from the damage aspect, and we'll grab the vision aspect later. The last spell is Summon Lesser Demons. Time to summon the flock. You roll on a d6 table and that determines the type of demons you summon. Again, this relies on DM discretion to give you some sick demon ravens and not something lame. Level 6 Warlocks gain Dark One's Own Luck. Once per long or short rest, you can call Beatrice up and she'll warp fate in your favor. You get to add 1d10 to any ability check or saving throw. At level 7, Warlocks gain another Eldritch Invocation. We'll take Ghostly Gaze. Once per rest, as an action, you gain the ability to see through solid objects up to 30 feet away. It lasts for a minute. This is going to be the vision aspect of Swain's W ability we were mentioning earlier. You also unlock 4th level spells. We'll take Dimension Door, which we'll flavor as the Teleport Summoner spell. Dimension Door lets you teleport anywhere you can see, visualize, or describe within 500 feet. You can also bring along one willing creature up to your size. Time to make that sweet TP flanking play. We're going to take a dip back into Paladin so we can grab some of the diggity dope conquest features. 4th level Paladins gain an ability score improvement. We're going to grab a point in Charisma and Constitution. Swain's only getting tankier and more authoritative as the days roll on. Level 5 Paladins gain extra attack. This lets you attack twice per attack action. Not super important because we're going to be using Eldritch Blast for the vast majority of the time, but hey, sometimes you want to whack someone and when you do, now you can do it twice. 6th level Paladins gain Aura of Protection. All creatures within 10 feet gain bonuses on saving throws equal to your Charisma modifier, including yourself. Swain uses his Foresight and Technical Genius to help his allies out on the battlefield. For our final level in Paladin, we gain Aura of Conquest. Swain's menacing presence affects each creature within 10 feet of you, causing any target afraid of him to have a 0 movement speed and take psychic damage equal to half your Paladin level. This plays perfectly into your Swain ult. You run up to a group of enemies and pop your Necrotic Shroud. Any creature failing to save is trapped in your presence. On the next turn, you activate Arms of Vidar and they sit in your aura and take a ton of damage. Time to switch gears back to Warlock to finish off the build. Level 8 Warlocks gain an ability score increase. We'll cap our Charisma here with 2 points. Now your Eldritch Blast will do 1d10 plus 5 per tendril. At max level, that's 4 tendrils. That's free 20 points of damage per turn just from your Charisma modifier, assuming they all hit. 9th level Warlocks gain 1 more Eldritch Invocation. We're going to really ramp up the healing in this build with Gift of the Ever-Living Ones. Anytime you roll dice for healing and Beatrice is around, take max value for those dice. You also gain 5th level spells. We'll choose Enervation as a take on Swain's passive ability. Enervation connects you via tendril to a target. If it fails the dex save to dodge the tendril, it takes a ton of necrotic damage and it heals Swain for half that amount. You can use your action on each turn afterwards to continue to apply the necrotic damage and continue to heal from it. 10th level Warlocks gain Fiendish Resilience, which allows you to choose 1 damage type per rest and gain resistance to it. At level 11, Beatrice whispers secrets of the magical realm into your ear and teaches you 1 6th level spell. There are a lot of powerful spells here to choose from, but none are particularly Swain specific, so have a ball. Level 12 gives you your final ability score increase for this build. We're going to buff up our tankiness 1 more time by taking both points in Constitution. We also gain our final Eldritch Invocation. we'll take Ascendant Step, which lets you cast Levitate on yourself at will for free. Time to get floaty. Our final level in this build will be the 13th level of Warlock. Beatrice is going to give you another spell this time at the 7th level. We're going to take Force Cage. Force Cage creates an immobile, invisible, cube-shaped prison. Force Cage can't be dispelled by magic, and is one of the most powerful spells in the game. This is another one that isn't Swain specific, unfortunately, but if you get the chance to use Force Cage, you get Force Cage. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. Swain is a tactical genius and a menacing terror on the battlefield. With Conquest Paladin and our ultimate ability, we have this covered pretty well. We also do a surprising amount of damage and have a ton of self-healing. Swain's also very tanky. With an AC of 19 and 171 HP, you can walk into the fray and go ham without fear. Now the bad. Unfortunately, a lot of the Paladin abilities are wasted. Thematically, they're awesome, but once Eldritch Blast comes online fully, smiting and sword attacks kind of feel like a waste. We also don't have too much utility other than crowd control abilities, though you could easily pair up with a wizard or a bard who can make up for your lack of utility spells. So, what'd you think? Are there changes you'd make to the build? If so, comment below and let us know. We've included links to the build in D&D Beyond and a printable PDF. There are also a link to the books used in this build if you're interested in buying them for yourself. If you enjoy this type of content, please like, share, and subscribe, then leave a comment on which champion you'd like us to take on next. We plan on churning out one league champion every 2 weeks. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.